good morning. Good morning. I'd like to take a minute to say we are honored to have each and every one of you join us for this session. This is the Mobile Technology for Development Session 2024, happening under the auspices of the 3i Africa Summit. We'd like to take just 5 seconds to congratulate the 3i Africa Summit for organizing this wonderful event. A round of applause for them, please. We'd also like to take a few seconds to appreciate those who made this possible: Huawei Technologies, Ghana, Telecel, People's Pension Trust, GIPS, and ZPay. On that note, my name is Bobby Osei. I'll be the gentleman who will be introducing, who will be speaking, and also the panels to you. I won't be doing too much. The experts are all here. So we would like to start off by introducing two very visionary men, the men behind the Mobile Technology for Development Conference, which happens every year, this year happening under the auspices of the 3i Africa Summit. They are Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe and Dr. William Durban. They'll be giving us our welcome address. Kindly give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Bobby, and thank you, William, for doing this again the fourth time. One of the things I've decided to do is, one of the things that eats our time is the long protocols we do. So now what I do is that, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and valued stakeholders, you're all welcome to MT4D 2024. The Mobile Technology for Development is a track under the auspices of the 3i Africa Summit, as Bobby said. This marks our fourth edition, an initiative that stands at the forefront of leveraging mobile technology to drive development in Ghana and across Africa. The MT4D event is that one that provides a platform for stakeholders within the financial, technology, and developmental sectors to converge in a single location like this to share ideas, exhibit solutions, take stock of innovations in the payments, deposits, credit, remittance, pensions, and insurance industries, and build partnerships to enhance efforts towards financial inclusion in Ghana and Africa. As a platform, it unites key actors in the technology ecosystem, including policymakers, regulators, industry players, academia, and end users to collaborate on innovation solutions that advance our nation. Throughout the years, this platform has been instrumental in catalyzing significant progress and advancement in our sector. Through the insights and perspectives shared, policy and regulations are made, and innovations are also formulated to influence the policies and regulations on financial inclusion. Thanks in part to the invaluable partnership of the Bank of Ghana. They have been a major partner in all previous editions. So with the 3i Africa Summit being championed by them, we, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, the EMI Chamber, and the Financial Inclusion Africa, organizers of MT4D agreed to partner the organizers of the 3i Africa Summit to have MT4D as one of the tracks of the summit. So today we bring you MT4D 2024. So we have gathered here today on the final day of the 3i Summit, 3i Africa Summit. We are proud to present MT4D 2024, dealing with the digital public infrastructure track, an opportunity to harness the power of mobile technology for sustainable development. Together, let us explore new horizons, forge meaningful partnerships, and pave the way for a brighter future for Ghana and the continent Africa. We're grateful to the Bank of Ghana, who has offered us the opportunity to host this track, bearing most of the cost, and to our other sponsors, Huawei Technologies Ghana, Telecel Cash, People's Pension, GIPS, and ZPay. We are grateful for your continued support. As we welcome you to MT4D 2024, we are also preparing for MT4D 2025 next year, an event that will be championed by FIFA and the EMI Chamber of Ghana. For today, let us enjoy and contribute to developing Africa and Ghana's digital public infrastructure to ensure that we carry all Africans on this journey of financial inclusion and the development of our continent. Thank you for being part of this transformative journey. I leave you with my colleague William to take you through what is in store for you for MT4D 2024.
So, thank you very much, Ken. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. So, as Ken said, my name is William Durban, and I wear two hats here. So, one, I'm the head of programs and partnerships for Opportunity International's Digital Innovations Group. So, I deal with innovation, but I always say this is one of the best innovations that that is around. So, I like my paper. But I'm also the chair of the Financial Inclusion Forum Africa, which co-organizes the Mobile Technology for Development Conference, as Ken has said. So let me tell you a little bit about the session this morning. In these sessions, you will be taken through an exciting series of 3 panel discussions. We will start looking at DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure. What is it? What are the challenges? And how can we implement successfully in Africa? We will then delve deeply into the role of new technology, and there's nothing hotter at the moment than Gen AI today. We will explore some of its use cases, and again explore how we can overcome the barriers and promote it across our continent. Lastly, as we always do at our Mobile Technology for Development conferences, we look into the future and to see how we can shape an equitable digital future for Africa. We still have the highest levels of poverty, or some of the highest levels of poverty in the world. The benefits of digitization cannot and must not be the preserve of the rich in Africa. That cannot happen. And these are some of the issues that we will be talking about at this session. So I hope that you will enjoy these sessions and we have a good time. Thank you very much.
Sisi masendi obiesi kama enti metwem kwadwo na ponchene
soa masendi pictures na ma juice nyope na fe send sika no ma no
Sending money from Telecel Cash to Telecel Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
On Ghana Pay. Send and receive money at 0 transaction fees. Pay bills, buy airtime and data. Transfer money in and out of your bank account and so much more with Ghana Pay. Dial *707# to register for Ghana Pay or download the Ghana Pay app from the Play Store or App Store. Ghana Pay and Ghana Pay. Your money, your way.
Welcome address out of the way. And the benefits of digitalization should not be the preserve of the rich, and it's time for Africa. I think those are the 2 key things I took away. At this point, our program is pretty packed and tight. I'd like to invite to the podium our first keynote speaker. She is one of the very best human beings on the planet, on the continent and in Ghana. The first Ghanaian to become CEO of Vodafone Ghana and also the first CEO of Telecel Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Engineer Patricia Obonai.
Thanks for your flattering words. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege to be here with you today to deliver the first keynote address, and I'm looking forward to a very engaging and exciting day. I hope you are too. So I'm here to speak on digital infrastructure and innovation, accelerating Africa's development. So in 2022, at the height of the pandemic, I had an opportunity to speak at the Bruegel annual meeting on the topic, Africa after COVID, can the economies recover? Today we are here, the pandemic hopefully is over, and we realize that everything we discussed is still real. I said in my speech that when the pandemic clears, we'll realize that we actually have a generational opportunity to rebuild a more resilient, a fair, and inclusive society. And here we are. It's happening right before our eyes. It wasn't all negative. There is an opportunity to rebuild. Having these dialogues on our infrastructure, our innovation, accelerating Africa's development, I believe is the right way to go. But let's not just discuss. After this discussion, let's implement, let's implement, let's implement. This is how the acceleration is actually going to happen. I'm sure you agree with me that the contribution of digital to our development has been accelerated not just as individuals, but for the society, for businesses, and governments have gone digital as well. And this will not be reversed. It's here to stay, so let's get used to it. There are three elements I want to touch on before we hand over to the panelists, because I'm really looking forward to how they will explore these topics. The first is our infrastructure. According to the GSMA 2023 report on the state of the mobile internet connectivity in sub-Saharan Africa, 15% of sub-Saharan Africa have no network coverage. They have no signal. In fact, the 59% have network coverage, and yet they are not connected. So they have the signals flying over their head, but they have no use for it. 40% of that population have a reason. They don't even have a device to connect to that signal. It's only 25% of our population who have the signal and are connected. We are discussing accelerating our development as Africa. Infrastructure in Africa is not just mobile coverage. So you can imagine the problem goes beyond just the mobile coverage. Fiber, which will deliver the fast speed that we all are looking for, both inland and undersea. The data centers that we need to power these technologies. And more importantly, energy sources, because it's enough to have all that equipment. And when we talk about infrastructure and digital, most of the time we are looking at telco towers and masts. But frankly, energy is a critical infrastructure that we need to think about when we are thinking about developing our infrastructure for development. Expanding the infrastructure, making it future-proof is critical. And I'm sure the undersea cable cuts we suffered recently is still fresh on your minds. We need something that is safe, resilient, and high quality, so that we can enhance the lives, the businesses, and the societies in which we operate. As a telecom provider, Telecel, we believe in investing in network infrastructure, and we will continue to do so. However, we believe that participating in infrastructure sharing, co-investing with other partners is the way to close the gap. Nobody can do this alone. The UN Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development estimates that we need an additional $109 billion in investment in Africa to close the gap so that we can achieve universal, affordable, and good quality broadband internet access by 2030. Where is this going to come from? I know my CAPEX, and I think I understand the investment structure of most of our players in Ghana. So where is this 100 billion going to come from? And this is where I make my first call. Under the prevailing conditions, Private investments are set not to increase. African government budgets are tightening. They have priority for eminent needs of their citizens. Most donors have diverted their foreign aid to their own domestic reconstruction. So this poses a real challenge for progress towards our SDG Goal 9 to provide universal and affordable access to internet across Africa. And so my call is on partnership and cooperation between governments, between industry, between the DDIs, the FDIs, to work together to make this happen if we are serious. I move to my second point. I said I'll give you 3. So now let's move to digital economy. According to the IFC and the Google Economy Africa 2020 report, and I quote, Africa's digital economy is one of the largest overlooked investment opportunities available, with a potential to add $180 billion to Africa's GDP by 2025, which is very close. I've touched on infrastructure. However, infrastructure alone is not enough. Innovation is the fuel that will power our progress and drive the change. Africa is home to some of the brightest minds and most innovative thinkers in the world. From mobile banking solutions to renewable energy technologies, Africa's innovators are leading the way in finding creative solutions to the continent's most pressing challenges. We must be more deliberate and invest in tapping into the innovative capacity of our talents and prioritize innovation in schools, in industry, to drive development at scale. As for tech startups, I think we know how to do it. We know how to kick it off very well. We have mastered it. And I'm getting tired of it, to be honest. What is important now is not just to give them funding from family and friends. We need to help them to drive scale. It's enough to set them off, but the difficulty is that they don't survive because they are not able to drive scale. We need to invest in those businesses till the end. My third and my final point is on literacy. So if we have the infrastructure, we provide all the innovative solutions, these businesses are built up and set up and ready. Who will use them? From the stats I shared earlier on, if 59% of the population in Africa do not use mobile internet, despite the fact that they live in an area with coverage, then how do we drive adoption so that they will appreciate the technologies that we also desire to roll out? Africa's working population is projected to surge by approximately 450 million individuals from 2015 to 2035. Sustaining current trajectories will see less than a quarter gain access to stable employment, and that's worrying. This is according to the World Bank. Expanding internet accessibility holds the potential to generate millions of job opportunities and upskill young people for tech opportunities. We need to ensure the ripple effect is wider. The ripple effect on adopting technology and innovation is wider. In conclusion, governments and businesses must invest in digital literacy programs to equip African youth with the skills needed to thrive in this digital economy, from coding to digital marketing to cybersecurity to data analytics. Instill digital technology knowledge in our young people right from primary school and build their exposure. I'm looking forward to the sessions today as our panelists explore our potential and share their thoughts on how we do this and do this with speed. Together, we must crack the code to realize the full potential of Africa's digital revolution and development. Thank you very much and enjoy the sessions.
The CEO of Telecel Ghana, Madame Patricia Obonai, the engineer Patricia Obonai, I must actually say. Apart from holding these sessions, holding our panel discussions, she mentioned something that's for us to be deliberate in our implementation. Implement, and be deliberate about it. Now, the next man I'm about to introduce, you won't find Africans who are as passionate about innovation and entrepreneurship when it comes to the fintech space. I'm talking about Mr. Sakib Nazer, a man of many parts, but within this context, he's the CEO of People's Pension Trust.
Morning, everyone. I'll follow Ken's lead and say, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, thank you. Thank you so much, and it's such a pleasure to have everyone here at this event. We're here to discuss some very important things. The fifth industrial revolution, which is a fusion of digital, biological, and physical innovations, is here with us. And we're all living in it already. We're all using WhatsApp, we're all using ChatGPT, and we all have access to these technologies. Unlike previous industrial revolutions, which left us behind, which we're struggling to catch up with, this revolution could provide us with a unique opportunity. And I say could. It's up to us to take it and build with it, or be watching on the sidelines. And if we are able to take this opportunity, we can lift ourselves into a new age of development and prosperity. At the heart of this transformation lies the digital public infrastructure, which we all need, which is desperately required by nations across Africa. And innovation in this digital infrastructure has the power to bridge the challenges that we face, the vast geographical divides, to connect the remote communities and to unleash the untapped potential of millions of people. The fiber optic network to mobile technology and this digital revolution is daily reshaping our landscape. And yet, we all know the challenges that exist. The access to the reliable internet, which is hindering the full participations in the digital economy. And in my opinion, to our doorstep, one of the recurring themes in this event since Monday has not only been financial inclusion, but it's been economic inclusion, right? We can bring pensions and savings and credit to people, but can they afford it? And the capacity for businesses and consumers to pay for this infrastructure so that it's utilized properly. So we need to work together to create the economic environment where we're all generating enough economic value to afford and pay the right price for these services. Yes, we don't want to be overpaying, so we have to find the best value. But I think we also cannot, if we don't pay for these services, we will always be stuck with poor services. There's also the issue of customer scale. Do we have the capacity to utilize these services to their maximum value? We have such a fragmented society in terms of academic and education and customer scale, but also economic power. And so we need to work together to create a certain minimum cohesive level of scale and economic value in order for this infrastructure to be properly utilized. Then there's the issue of value creation. Are we again going to be just consumers and consuming Netflix and consuming WhatsApp, or are we going to also add to this era? Are we going to add by creating our own services, which the rest of the world will also appreciate? We have seen so much talent in so many areas that just requires a little bit of enabling. When I look at my business, which offers pensions and other financial services to informal customers, I look at what is it that I need to make it viable. I need a customer who has, even if it's a basic mobile phone which works, if with or without internet. I need a customer who has some mobile money on it. And for them to have some mobile money, they are then economic viable. And then they must have a basic skill to appreciate the value of a pension, or the value of savings, or the value of insurance, or the capability to borrow money. And that's what I need, as well as many other businesses in this part of the world need in order to reach out to customers. As always, we are, and it's a bit of a cliche now, we are at the crossroads of opportunity or challenge. We've been talking about the population boom, we've been talking about all the future potential of Africa, and the worry and the fear is if we don't leverage it, we are then in crisis. We can turn this around by investing in the necessary infrastructure and by fostering a culture of cooperation and innovation to help us overcome these challenges. I'm not going to speak about all the things that we need to do, because I think we all already know them. There have been countless reports, countless research, countless seminars and conferences on what we need to do. What I think we need to do is roll up our sleeves, put in some honesty, some diligence, some integrity, and really work together to create this environment that allows us to create this infrastructure and this economy for ourselves and for future populations coming up. I hope we will use this time, this workshop, this time today, to really think about how we're going to implement and action some of the things that are long overdue. Thank you very much for your time.
No, that was short. I was expecting him to speak for longer. All right. So, Sakib Nazir, so much thanks to you. I think spoke about generating the right value as a continent, leveraging the available systems. I was just reading around and I realized that a continent of 1.4 billion were producing close to about 3 trillion. And I think the UK, about 63 million, was also producing close to the same thing, 3 trillion. And if you look at the numbers, I don't really think that's the best. But at this point, we would like to invite the members of the first panel, a very powerful panel at that pulled from all across Africa, and the moderation happening by, or being moderated by, the Venerable Dr. William Durban. Let's invite them while we play our ads, please.
The cradle of civilization, where leaders of men, kings and queens helped build and shape the world we know today. Since the beginning of time, money and goods have moved freely across this great continent until they were interrupted by borders, arbitrary and man-made. Thanks to hard-fought freedoms, digital advancement, and human ingenuity, a new day is dawning, where money and goods can once again move across these vast lands unencumbered, opening Africa up to movement, progress, and opportunity. Don't let borders limit you. Transfer and receive money quickly, easily, affordably. ZPay. Building a borderless Africa.
Hello, and good morning once again, and thanks for joining our session. I'll introduce our distinguished panel. To my left, I have Gabi Adotevi, the Regional Director, MOSIP. And then next to him, we have Sabina Mensah, the Deputy CEO of Africa NENDA. And we have Richard Ochifusu, the Director General, National Information Technology Agency, NITA. And then we have Juliet Maynard, the Senior Policy Researcher, DFS Labs. We also have two of our members online, and I think they'll be joining us soon. But we have Emmanuel Kisa, who is the Africa Director, Center for Digital Public Infrastructure, based in Kenya. And then we also have Thelma Quay, who is the Chief Digital Infrastructure Skills and Empowerment Officer for Smart Africa. I think they are online. So as Sagib said, we are going to do it. We are going to roll up our sleeves and get this done. You would agree with me that we do have a very distinguished panel here. I think we have probably the most diverse panel of the whole 3i Summit. You know, we have it's very Pan-African, so I think everybody here comes from a different part of the continent, and you know, we don't have a manual. This is a very gender-balanced panel. You know, we have some of us are online, some of us are in here, so it's a really, really good panel. For us as Opportunity International and also at FAIF, we believe that digital public infrastructure is critical if you are going to provide technology-led solutions to help people escape poverty or generational poverty. So before I delve into the issues, I'll see if Emmanuel is online. See? Hi, okay, so Emmanuel, so as I said, Emmanuel is the Africa Director for the Center for Digital Public Infrastructure. And before we go, I just want to ask Emmanuel to set the scene for us. Tell us a little bit about the center, what the center does, but I want you to educate us a little bit about digital public infrastructure. We hear the term being thrown around quite a lot. What is it? How is it being implemented in Africa and globally, but more importantly in Africa?
Thank you. And all of the distinguished panelists, I signed an existing protocol, and so basically I would like to go straight into it, believing that we have those who understand DPI and those who don't. So I hope you can all hear me. Is that okay?
Yeah, Richard, Emmanuel, go ahead. We can hear you.
Thank you. Yes, so the term DPI is relatively new, but the concept behind DPI is not so new. It's been with that for a while. I mean, the principles around interoperability, around open standards have always been with us. But to think about how we would look at DPI within our African context, DPI are sets of rails that we need to put in place. So think of them as foundation rails that then will drive adoption and digital transformation at scale and inclusively. Inclusively here we focus on the ecosystem as a whole, but inclusively we also focus on base of. So the question that we tend to have is both a philosophical question and a technology question. So when we say DPI, do we mean cables and wires, or do we mean softwares? We used to sit in between on this conversation, and we look at it logical deployment of systems. So think of it as software. So what are the software rails that you rely on to execute digital transformation at scale? This is because the physical rail already exists and has a name, and we call it connectivity, we call it data centers, we call it hard infrastructure. We've not sort of had a name for the foundational layers at the software, at the level. And that's where we bring in the term DPI. to sort of distinguish between the hard infrastructure and the soft infrastructure. And for the use of this conversation, we will be referring more to it as CPI to the soft infrastructure that you need. And we look at it as primarily data exchange and digital payments. Those are the three core foundational pillars upon which we ride the digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for giving us that background. So I want to bring it down here to Richard. Because Richard, you are here with us in Ghana and you are hosting this 3i. You are the Director General of NITA in Ghana. How is DPI being implemented in Ghana and what has been the role of NITA?
Thank you very much, and good morning to our listeners. DPI, we've done quite a bit on the DPI front. If you take the three key initiatives that he mentioned, we've looked at identity, ID systems, and I understand that we are even looking at digital ID from the physical ID. We are looking at payments from the work that GIPS has been doing with the central bank and mobile money interoperability and even Ghana.gov. I think that those things have facilitated the payments arena for us. And there are many things. I mean, you're looking at digital addressing, e-pharmacy. I mean, all these, one of the things that I would like to say is that DPI is to enable us as government provide better digital services to our citizenry. So I think we've done well. From NITA's perspective, for those who don't know what we do exactly, we are an agency under the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, and we are the implementation arm of that ministry. And therefore, any digital solution that comes through that ministry, whether it's through the e-Transform project, which is a World Bank project, or the new one, which is the Ghana Digital Acceleration Project, NITA is involved one way or the other, whether to help shape the terms of reference and all that. But specifically, we also oversee the national e-government infrastructure, which includes the connectivity. We have the Eastern Corridor Fiber, and recently we've just completed a nationwide government connectivity project where we are taking in account the police stations, post offices, hospitals, and then the local assemblies. We've connected all the way to the district level and last mile connectivity as well. We also partner with the MNOs and our sister agency, GEFED, who's in charge of the rural telephony, because as Patricia mentioned, this cannot be done by one entity. So we all put our resources together to be able to leverage. I mean, one of the things that I'm excited to know that we've done is national roaming, which allows citizens, when you go to a particular area that your particular mobile service operator is not strong, you'll be able to hop onto another operator. So that is foundational to all the things that we are saying. And then the National Data Center, which, in fact, it was built for government, but our customers are actually private sector. We have a huge number of private sector players in there. And I would encourage those who are in the innovating and looking for opportunity to come and talk to us so that they can host. We are at the cusp of actually coming up with a very fantastic global in nature cloud provider. One of the big guys is actually coming to Ghana to bring their infrastructure to Ghana, akin to the AWSs of this world and the Azures of this world. So I think a lot is happening. So the National Data Center is also driving some of these innovations as well. But from learning management system, to e-health, e-pharmacy, at the ports, our single window system that we have there, and even from public services, the smart workplace that brings efficiency to the work that we do as public sector or public servants. So I think these are some of the things that we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. It paints a very nice picture that everything that Ghana is doing very well. And we'll come to some of the issues where you can tell us what some of the challenges are. But thank you for at least telling us what DPI means in Ghana. And I'm sure we all identify some of the things that you've said. But Sabine, I just want to come to you because you are the Deputy CEO of Africa NENDA. And if you can tell us a little bit about what Africa NENDA does and your role with DPI, also because I know you work with payments, and payments just keeps coming up and up. Heard about payment from manual payments here, but your body also mentioned that we've heard a lot about payments, and it's like they all get tired of payments. So what is it that Africa NENDA is doing, and what's your role in DPI?
Thank you very much. Allow me to thank everybody in the room and the organizers for giving us the opportunity to be here today and for giving me the pleasure to represent Africa NENDA on behalf of my colleagues. So we are a non-for-profit organization, and our sole ambition is really to see how we can accelerate financial inclusion, working directly with governments, private sector, and other enablers in the ecosystem. And as we're looking at accelerating financial inclusion, we believe that investment into instant payment systems that are interconnected and interoperable will enable more access to financial services and at least give us the opportunity to accelerate that trajectory to offer to more than 400 million adults in Africa currently who are excluded from formal financial services. Now, with that said, the key challenges we see in the ecosystem with regard to implementing inclusive payment system lies on one end on the lack of project program implementation support to project owners that are doing it, and on this other end on institutional capacity on inclusivity and instant payment systems themselves. And as such, at Africa NENDA, what we offer is a team of technical specialists, African, very knowledgeable about Africa infrastructure, have worked on the African continent and are based in the African continent. We're a team of 18 distributed on 12 countries in Africa as of now. So available to central banks, instant payment system operators, governments to tap on us on demand. The other side of our support, when we look at the institutional capacity, comes in four ways, I would say. One is that we have the ability to provide secondees to central banks or other Pan-African organizations to support this trajectory. We bring technical assistance on demand as needed available to all of these institutions. The second part is we build tools and we leverage data so that we are really enabling evidence-based policy making. And one of these tools is the State of Inclusive Instant Payment System report that we do every year, just looking at the landscape in Africa and also looking at what are the lessons that we can learn from ourselves on the continent, and of course also looking at the global perspective and where we learn. The third area is for us to make sure that we also enable a knowledge platform that facilitate best practice sharing, participating in events such as this and promoting what we do and what we know based on what we've been able to collect from the stakeholders, and also bringing the stakeholders together either via on-site events like the annual launch of the report, but also doing webinars and digital convenience so we can share more best practices. And last but not least, it's also for us making sure that we are providing the research based necessary. We're bringing this benchmark Africa outside of Africa and how things are moving. How we interact on DPI, it's very simple. I think Emmanuel mentioned the foundational layers of DPI. We interact at the payments layer of DPI and really working and making sure that the national payment systems or the regional payment system are inclusive, have instant payment capabilities, and that this enables the majority of us in Africa to access the digital ecosystem. That's in a nutshell where we are and what we do.
Thank you very much, Sabine. telling us about payments in Africa. And Gabby, another area that has been mentioned, another foundational sort of characteristics of DPI is the ID, digital ID. And I know that you work for MOSIP, so can you tell us a little bit about what MOSIP does, but also more importantly, how that relates to DPI and just the general information about ID, digital IDs, and the digital public infrastructure?
Okay, thank you, William. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this panel. MOSIP stands for Modular Open Source Identity Platform. So MOSIP is a digital ID platform that we provide to government so they can give every resident, so resident means citizens of the country or foreigners, they can provide resident a unique identification number. So we are providing people a digital identity that is secure and trusted. So why was MOSIP initiated? MOSIP was initiated in 2018 because we've noticed that over 60 countries up to 2018 have tried to build a digital ID system in their country, for their country, but very few of them were successful, including many countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So some of the challenges they were facing was the vendor lock-in, so inflexibility for them to really customize their digital ID solution, and the main problem is ownership. Because when you go to a provider and then you use the services, you don't really own it. You're only using the service. So MOSIP is open source. Provided to countries, they can do their ID system with it. So MOSIP, again, is open source, but it's really trusted, secure, and allows that flexibility. We keep talking about payment. Everybody likes money, yeah. But payments, cash transfer, benefit transfer is much, much easier when everybody has a secure identity. So when you have a digital ID, every time you go for a new service or you need a service, you don't have to go through the whole process again because you've already been identified. All you need to do is being authenticated. So the advantage of using the MOSIP service is the enrollment happens only once. And then every time you need to access a service, you only need to be authenticated. So in general, this is what the MOSIP platform does. Yeah.
And just a follow-up question. So how many countries are using the MOSIP platform now?
Well, as of last week, we have 22 countries. Yes, it goes fast. We started in 2018. Up to last year, we had 13 countries, but we're growing. We're growing because people are starting to understand that open source is the way to go. Having ownership of their digital ID is the way to go, and it makes it easier. One of the approaches we've found to help countries adopt MOSIP is to do a POC, proof of concept. So when I start engaging with the country, I know adopting a solution for national ID is a big decision. So I give you time, I give you 6 months to 1 year to experience our platform without any commitment. So that POC includes, you get to explore the deployment of the platform from end to end. We train you on the different modules because it's modular. We train you on the different modules, security, architecture, and then you have a team in place that does it. So you have to do it yourself so that you can understand how it works. And then we also train your people in the whole process. So once we finish the proof of concept, now it's up to you to decide if you want to go with the solution or not. Good thing is up to now, no one has backed up, and we have already have some countries that didn't even finish the POC. In the middle, they said, okay, this is the way to go, and then they started adopting it. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me go back online. We have Thelma. So Thelma works for Smart Africa. Thelma, none of this works without infrastructure, and we've spoken about infrastructure. And so can you tell us how important infrastructure is to DPI and what the role of Smart Africa is?
Yes, thank you, William, and good morning to your audience. So imagine the relationship between digital infrastructure and digital public infrastructure as the relationship and beautiful cars that we drive, the bicycles and the tricycles, right? The digital infrastructure is a roadmap that allows connectivity between countries, between cities, between villages. And then the DPI would be your SUV, your salon cars, your bicycles, and your tricycles. So you have that image, then you would see that the quality of the road affects your drive, your commute. If your road is tired, your experience is different from if you're not tired with this morning. So in the same way, the quality of our digital infrastructure, the dimensioning, the thinking, the resilience, the thought that goes into it also affects the digital experience of DPIs. And digital infrastructure isn't just important for DPIs, it's important for the general digital economy, for the general digital landscape, and it encompasses everything from broadband networks, data centers, satellite networks, cloud infrastructure, mobile telecom networks. You recall, I think, exactly 2 months ago, it was 14th of March when the outage in West Africa happened for the South Sea cable. And just this week, we also had a similar part here in East Africa. And the impact was not just on DPI, the impact was on schools, social media usage, on banks, basically what we call the digital economy beneficiaries. That is where the impact is. And this goes to solidify the importance of digital infrastructure as a foundation. It's foundational to the digital economy and a critical enabler for the DPI. What Smart Africa is doing to make sure that you have the smooth road, to make sure that you have accessible road, is to first of all tackle affordability of digital infrastructure. The statistics were mentioned by first key speaker. We have 85% coverage because Africa is first in mobile telecom technology. So we have 85% of the population coverage, but only 25% using it. And if you dig deep, you realize that the 60% or so, majority of them is because of African community. If they don't have the devices, they are not skilled enough, or the service is too expensive. The average cost of internet is not expensive. So what we are doing is very akin to what the mobile network do. I forget the technical name. But basically we are collating data requirements from across our members. For those who don't know Smart Africa, we work across Africa. We have 39 members in Africa, which is about 1 billion population. So with this population, we are taking the government data requirements that are collating in it and leveraging volume to negotiate prices down. When we simulate it, we realize we could get as much as a 90% decrease in cost of the internet. We are not stopping there, we are also working on how we can make devices affordable. There's a Smart Devices Coalition with GSMA, with Vodafone, with Nokia, we have quite a number of them in the World Bank, where we are trying to see beyond subsidization, because subsidization doesn't work. It's not sustainable. We are looking at how we find sustainable ways to make devices affordable, and one of the things has been device financing. How do we, first of all, create devices that are relevant to us? Because most of these devices that come, I'm sure all of us here use 10% of the apps on our devices, and these apps come at a cost to the user. So if we are not using it, why did they come on the devices? Those are the sort of conversations we are having. Again, with Google, can you make Android light so that you don't need a high memory space on the devices? So that once they don't need that much of memory space, that means that the cost goes down. Because if you break down the cost of a device the memory space, the 2% is about 30 to 40% of that cost. So we are able to drill that down and just cut it down to what we need and reduce the cost of this, and we can automatically increase access, meaningful access of this digital infrastructure to our users. So those are the things we are doing. Then we are also looking at the resilience of digital infrastructure. How can we avoid these outages that happen in West Africa?